Hi everyone, welcome to another video here on my English learning channel. If you're a new student, again, I would like to say hi and I hope you will stay here and learn English with us. Um, I haven't filmed in a while. It's summer. There are a lot of things are going on. My background is kind of a little bit disheveled, but I guess I like the symmetry here. But this TV has to go, and then this is going to be painted. So I'm in the process of like doing a lot of physical things, a lot of renovation, something that maybe is not for girls or women, but I like to do it. I'm very like I like to put my hands on a lot of like home things, a lot of renovation, so I'm doing that. And that has been taking a lot of my time. And as I'm doing a lot of these physical things, I had time to think. And one of the topics that was constantly going through my mind, and like in talking with my friends as well, and with my family, I always shared stories of my amazing students. And when I'm talking about a certain story, I would remember a student that was part of that story, or that a student that told me something that I was really amazed by, or it's just, I've been doing this for 5 years, almost 5.5, and I've met a lot in person, but also through online communication. I've spoken with a lot of amazing people. Just recently, when I followed NASA's channel, and we were watching the launch of the James Webb Telescope, and the press conference, and we saw the first images. I remembered that I had a student who actually worked on the construction of James Webb Telescope a couple of years ago. And I remember that I was like, oh my God, I mean, those are such amazing stories. And I hope by learning English and communicating in this now universal language, you can achieve your goals and tell your stories and have an amazing achievements in your life. So I decided to make like a version of that here on the channel. So this would be called like a student chat, where I would share some stories, professional stories mostly, not personal, but professional stories about some of the students that I had the privilege to teach. So this first, I think maybe he's one of my subscribers. This first story is going to be about a marine biologist from Indonesia. So he works in Bali in a lot of these protected areas, and he's an expert in conservation of the marine biome. And this is something that's very important. So we had an opportunity to speak a little bit about the situation in our oceans, what's going on with coral reefs in Australia, with sea turtles, and everything that is kind of in discussion this day and age. So, you know, our waters are being polluted more than ever. How can we improve the life of these marine beings? And of course, one of the things that I asked him was, are mermaids real? Because on TikTok, there's so many videos of these half and half creatures with tails, and they're pretty realistic. They found even like skeletons, and I thought maybe he has an expertise in that, so I wanted to ask him, but he just laughed. And he personally never saw that, even though in the Philippines and in Indonesia, this is there is a legend. Sea monkey, if I'm correct. They're pretty terrifying, so don't Google that. And one of the students actually told me that we only explored only like 5% of our ocean. So whatever is on land, a version of that is underneath in the water. So that is kind of scary. The purpose of him studying English is because he, together with some of his colleagues, was recruited to work in one of the amazing projects in Middle East, in Saudi Arabia. And the project is called NEOM. And he asked me, do I know what NEOM is? And I said no, because I follow news, but this is something that I never heard of. And so he explained to me that NEOM, you can Google that. I will leave the link below. There's a BBC article about this project. This is actually a very futuristic project of a city that is currently being built in Saudi Arabia in the west part, closer to Egypt or the Mount Sinai on the coast. So NEOM basically means new future or new city, something like that. Immensely expensive, so a lot of money has been invested. But what the goal of the city is to be the city of the future, something that we never saw before. And the way it looks like, it's kind of a octagon, I think. And a part of the city is on the land, but bigger part of it is actually on the sea, or the Red Sea, on the water. I did a little bit of research about these future cities, and most of them are actually in Middle East. So we have a city of Dubai that is also one of the first ones that was designed to be the city of future. And in America, I'm not really sure. There is actually a new Amazon headquarters building being built in Washington, I think in Washington, D.C., or on the East Coast. And this would be, or will be actually, a very advanced building that kind of has this spiral shape, and it has trees on top of it, so it would be like a very sustainable green environment for people to work in. So this is something where we are heading to as kind of the Western countries. But I think on the East, you can also see in Kazakhstan and some other countries in Central Asia, when you look from the satellite imagery, you can see the very interesting shapes of these cities being built, usually in the desert, that have a potential to kind of change the way we live. And so for me, it was very interesting to talk with someone who's going to actually work on this project. And so my student was engaged with marine conservation in the Red Sea. So the engineers were kind of thinking about what this city would mean for the marine life in that area. So the whole city is supposed to work on sustainable energy, so solar energy, wind power, and I think something that has to do with planktons. I'm not really sure, you can Google it, but it's a very futuristic design. People from all over the world are called to this area to participate, or if they're experts in their area. Thinking about like flying cars and like fake moon and all of these things, it's very fascinating. I'm somebody who's not born in the new millennia. I'm a little bit older, so just normal city would work for us. We never thought about, like, New York was the most advanced city in our mind, but now as we are progressing and the technology is being developed much quicker than before, we can imagine maybe this future coming closer to us. If you watch the video of their presentation, you will see that this is something truly amazing. Just hope they will be able to actually go through with the plan and finish this amazing project. On the other hand, there was a little bit of a controversy around the governance, because this area would be basically sustainable and separated from the country of Saudi Arabia, so it would have its own government and its own laws. And so there were a lot of questions about what kind of laws will there be. Is that good for people or not? Are these laws going to be equal for everyone? Is there going to be human rights? What kind of rights? It's actually one other city that is already built and you can apply to live there. It's in India, so a lot of people who have connection with Indian culture, or they practice yoga, or they're spiritually more connected with India, actually want to see that in person, so they travel, and it's an amazing experience to see like people from everywhere in this new environment, and they're creating a new civilization. Again, what all these cities actually propose is this new model of governance, so that they will give more rights to people, I guess, that they already have in their own countries. And I guess that this could be a way for them to attract people to actually come and live there. On the other hand, it could be true. So I don't know, you can judge for yourselves. This whole video is just about making you think and research and read in English about these topics. So if you have any connection or if you're actually working on the development of these projects, you can comment in the link below because we don't know anything as just normal humans. We just read what's in the news, but it would be really fun to learn more and get more insight into these new developments. Ultimately, we're not so different, so people from different parts of the world can come and coexist in one city that is going to be inclined to everyone in a way, that's going to be a new place, a new beginning from people, no matter where they come from. So this idea, I guess it's really advanced and futuristic, and I wonder what governments think about this. Maybe for them this is kind of too far ahead because there are a lot of potential problems. So what if something happens? So which jurisdiction is that? Who's going to be in charge? Who is going to take care of the problem? So who's actually going to be the government of this city? Are they going to be elected in a democratic way, or are they going to be engineers or people who participated in the construction? So are there going to be a voting? Or a lot of those things are a little bit questionable. So for me, I enjoy researching and reading about this from kind of a visual perspective, because to me these cities look visually stunning. And recently also I saw on TikTok that again in Saudi Arabia, I think in the desert there's another project to build horizontal city that is going to be between two glass structures or two mirror structures, I think, and it's going to be extremely long, kind of in a horizontal way, but also very tall vertically. You can again Google this. Project is kind of just in the making, so they're not, I think, engaging in any construction. And then when we think about the things that one city needs to have, which is the infrastructure, the heating, cooling, water supply, proper housing, food, mail delivery, all kinds of things. So how is that going to be organized? Because in the desert it's pretty hard to have enough water for everyone. So I think maybe they're going to do something with the water from the Red Sea, maybe filter it and use it, because they plan to have a lot of greenery and it's going to be like an oasis in that area. So I think for the water supply, that's going to be a problem. And nowadays we're actually living in times when we have shortages of water in a lot of parts of the world, and we have to think about how to preserve the water that we have. Ultimately, also for architects, if you are somebody who is engaged in construction of any sorts, you probably know more than us about the materials that are suitable for certain climates, and visually, how can something that's visually beautiful be also practical and be used in a certain situation. So I never know, like if I was an architect, I wouldn't be able to choose between all of these materials. You have to be like a very good at judging what will, and also calculating, because a lot of that is physics. Okay, that would be all for today's video. I think I gave you a lot of topics to think about, and in the future I hope I have a couple of students on my mind that already qualify for this category of amazing jobs, but in the future I hope I will interview maybe online some of the students, and they can talk here, virtually of course, but they can talk about their work with you. Happy rest of the summer. My birthday is coming, so this is my season, Leo season. So I hope it's not going to be too hot. You probably heard about forest fires in California and Siberia, so you can also check those news. See you soon in the next one. Bye.